Aita for telling my boyfriend he shouldn't take his girl best friend for couple's costume for Halloween? I don't know if I'm overthinking things, but this situation has left me feeling deeply confused and hurt. It's one of those moments in life where, even though you know something is wrong, you start to question whether you're the one at fault. My boyfriend and I have been together for 8 months now, and for the most part, things seem to be going well. I wouldn't say our relationship was perfect. What relationship is? But we were happy. Or at least I thought we were. He's always been incredibly kind to me. From the beginning, he treated me with respect and never raised his voice or lost his temper, even when we disagreed. I know that seems like a low bar, but in past relationships, I haven't always been treated with that same level of care. So, when I met him, I thought I'd finally found someone who was different, someone who would respect my feelings and be there for me in the ways that matter most. Early on in our relationship, he introduced me to his close group of friends, a group he's known since nursery school. It was clear they had a deep bond, and I admired how close they all were. He didn't try to keep me separate from them or make me feel like an outsider. I was included in their gatherings, and I genuinely enjoyed spending time with them. His friends were friendly and welcoming, and I appreciated that. Among his group of friends, there's Vivian, one of his closest friends. She's been part of his life for years, and they share a lot of common interests, including a deep love for Halloween. Every year, he, Vivian, and 2 of their other friends plan months in advance for Halloween. They make a big deal out of it, choosing elaborate costumes, attending Halloween parties, and really diving into the spooky spirit. I never had any reason to feel jealous of their relationship. My boyfriend always made me feel secure, and I didn't want to be the kind of girlfriend who gets in the way of long-established friendships. Besides, I trusted him. Have you ever felt like you're pouring your heart into someone, only to realize their heart might be somewhere else? How do you even begin to move forward from that kind of betrayal when everything you thought was solid just crumbles around you? Share your thoughts, stories, or advice below. Whether you've been through something similar or just want to offer a word of support, let's start a real conversation. How do you heal when trust is broken, and how do you find yourself again after the dust settles? But recently, something happened that made me question everything. My boyfriend works for a company that throws a big Halloween party every year, and it's something he looks forward to. He and his friends take turns going with him, and this year, it was Vivian's turn. Last year, he went with his friend Tom, so this year, it's Vivian's turn. The thing is, he and Vivian have a special bond when it comes to Halloween. They both love horror and scary costumes, and they've always had this thing where they plan matching or complementary costumes. Now, I'm not the type of person to claim ownership of a holiday or a shared interest, but I love Halloween too. My boyfriend knows that. It's one of the things we connected over when we first started dating. We both enjoy the spooky season, and I thought that was something we could share as a couple. But this year, he didn't ask me if I wanted to go with him to the Halloween party. He didn't even mention the possibility of us doing something together. Instead, he and Vivian started planning their costumes 2 months ago when we were already together, and he never once brought it up to me. It's not that I expected him to cancel his plans with Vivian, but I thought he might at least consider asking me if I'd like to go with him, especially since Halloween is something we both love. When he casually mentioned a couple of days ago that he and Vivian had their couple's costumes ready, I felt a wave of disappointment. He even asked if I wanted to see them. I tried to smile and be supportive, but I guess my feelings showed on my face because he noticed something was off. He asked me what was wrong, so I told him. I explained that I wished he had asked me if I wanted to go with him, given that Halloween is something we both enjoy. I wasn't angry, and I didn't raise my voice. I just wanted him to understand how I felt, but his response caught me off guard. He didn't get angry, but he was firm. He told me that he wouldn't change his traditions with his friends just because of our relationship. He said that I knew about this from the beginning, that he had told me early on how important Halloween was to him and his friends. He said that he didn't see why this was suddenly a problem. I was stunned. It wasn't that I wanted him to change his traditions. I've never expected that. But I thought he could have at least considered me. I told him that what he said was hurtful, and instead of trying to talk it through, he gave me the silent treatment. He's been distant ever since, barely speaking to me, and I'm left wondering if I'm the one who overstepped. To be clear, I've never asked him to put me above his friends. I've never wanted to be the girlfriend who makes her partner choose between her and his friends. I've always encouraged him to maintain his friendships and to spend time with them. I didn't mind when he went hiking with Tom or when he did escape rooms with Vivian and the rest of their group. I thought I was doing everything right, being supportive, giving him space, not making unreasonable demands. But this Halloween thing felt different. It felt like something we could share, something that would bring us closer. And instead, I'm left feeling excluded. I've been trying to convince myself that it's not a big deal, that it's just one event, but it keeps gnawing at me. Maybe it's not just about Halloween. Maybe it's about the fact that I feel like he didn't even consider me, like I'm not a priority. I don't want to feel like this, but I do. A few days after our conversation, my boyfriend apologized. At first, I thought maybe he had realized how I felt and was ready to make things right. But then the conversation took a turn I never expected. He sat me down and told me that he had been doing some thinking. He said that he realized he wasn't the right person for me, that he couldn't give me the attention and care that I deserved. And then, out of nowhere, he mentioned Vivian. He said that Vivian deserved better too. I was confused. Why was he bringing Vivian into this? So I asked him point blank if something was going on between them. I was hoping he would reassure me, tell me that I was overthinking things and that their relationship was purely platonic. But instead, he dropped a bombshell. He told me that he was in love with her. My heart sank. I felt like I couldn't breathe. As he sat there explaining how he had been carrying these feelings for years, I was falling apart. He said that Vivian didn't know about his feelings, that he had been too much of a coward to tell her. And while I was sitting there, feeling like my world was crumbling around me, he just kept talking about their history, about how he had always cared for her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. All this time, I had trusted him. I had trusted their friendship. I had never felt jealous of her because I believed that what they had was purely friendship. But now, everything I thought I knew was unraveling before my eyes. I started crying. I couldn't stop the tears. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, and I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. He kept apologizing, telling me that I deserved better, that he hadn't meant to hurt me. But his words felt hollow. How could he say that I deserved better when he had been leading me on this entire time? How could he sit there and talk about Vivian while I was falling apart in front of him? The worst part is, I can't even be mad at Vivian. She doesn't know. She has no idea that he's in love with her, no idea that she's the reason we're breaking up. She's done nothing wrong, and I can't blame her for any of this. But that doesn't stop the hurt. It doesn't stop me from feeling like she's won, even though she doesn't even know she's in the competition. I feel like I've been pushed aside, like I never stood a chance. We broke up that night. I didn't want to, not over something as small as a Halloween party, but it became clear that this was about so much more than that. It wasn't just about Halloween. It was about the fact that his heart had never truly been with me. He admitted that he had been in love with Vivian for years, and I realized that I had been living in her shadow the entire time. Since the breakup, I've been a wreck. I've taken sick leave from work, and I'm barely holding it together. My friends have been supportive, telling me that I should see a therapist, but right now, I feel too emotionally drained to even consider it. I can't stop blaming myself. I keep replaying the conversation over and over in my mind. What if I hadn't brought up Halloween? What if I had just let it go? Would we still be together if I hadn't said anything? But deep down, I know that's not true. I know this breakup was inevitable, that his feelings for Vivian would have come out eventually. But that doesn't make the pain any easier to bear. I feel like I wasn't enough for him, like I was just a placeholder while he pined for someone else. I want to scream at him for wasting my time, for leading me on, but what good would that do? He's already moved on emotionally, even if he hasn't told Vivian how he feels yet. And I'm left here, trying to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to move forward from this. Right now, I'm just trying to get through each day without falling apart. Maybe someday I'll be able to look back on this and see it as a learning experience. But right now, all I feel is pain and loss. I don't think I'll update after this. There's nothing more to say. Maybe if something major happens, I'll post again. But for now, I just need time to heal. I need time to figure out who I am without him and how to move on from a relationship that was never truly mine. Asterisk, asterisk. Continuation. Asterisk, asterisk. It's been a few weeks since the breakup, and I'm still trying to find my footing. Every day feels like an emotional roller coaster. Some days, I wake up feeling like I can breathe a little easier, while on others, I'm back to square one, consumed by the weight of what happened. The hardest part has been the silence. The quietness of my phone, the absence of our usual texts, the emptiness of a routine that used to revolve around him. It's strange how quickly someone can go from being your entire world to just gone. After the initial shock of the breakup, I spent days holed up in my apartment, barely leaving my bed. My friends, bless them, kept checking in on me, trying to drag me out for coffee or just to take a walk around the block. But I couldn't face the world. It felt like everywhere I went, everything I saw reminded me of him. The Halloween decorations on every porch, the costumes in store windows. It was all a cruel reminder of how everything fell apart over something that should have brought us closer. I decided to take my friend's advice and start seeing a therapist. It wasn't easy to take that step. At first, I kept telling myself that I didn't need it, that I could figure this out on my own. But after weeks of feeling like I was sinking, I knew I couldn't do this alone. I reached out to someone my friend recommended, and while I was skeptical at first, I have to admit it's been helping. In therapy, I've been unpacking a lot of things, not just about the breakup, but about myself, about my patterns in relationships, and why I seem to always fall for people who can't give me what I need. My therapist pointed out something that hit me hard. I've spent so much time trying to be the cool girlfriend, the one who doesn't make waves, who supports her partner unconditionally, that I've completely lost sight of my own needs. I've been so afraid of being seen as jealous or demanding that I didn't even realize I was allowing myself to be treated as an afterthought. The more I reflect on it, the more I realize that this wasn't just about the Halloween party. It was about the fact that, from the beginning, I was always on the periphery of his life. He introduced me to his friends, sure, but I was never really *included*. I was always the girlfriend in the background, never fully integrated into the parts of his life that mattered most to him. And I accepted that, thinking it was enough. I thought that as long as we were together, that was all that mattered. But now I see that I deserve more than that. I deserve to be someone's priority, not just a convenient addition to their life. I've also been thinking a lot about Vivian. In the days following the breakup, I was consumed by this overwhelming feeling that she had won, even though she didn't know about any of it. But now, I'm starting to realize that there was never a competition. She didn't win anything. The real issue was between me and my ex, his inability to be honest with me, and maybe with himself, about his feelings. It wasn't Vivian's fault that he had been in love with her this whole time. She didn't ask for that, and I can't blame her for how things played out. Still, there's a part of me that wonders what will happen between them now. Will he tell her? Will they end up together? I've been trying to let go of those thoughts, but it's hard not to wonder what comes next for him while I'm still picking up the pieces of what he left behind. The hardest part, though, has been coming to terms with how little I seem to matter in the grand scheme of things. I spent 8 months building a relationship with him, investing in what I thought was a future for us, only to find out that he had one foot out the door the entire time. I've been questioning everything. Did he ever really care about me? Was I just a placeholder until he figured out his feelings for Vivian? These thoughts plague me at night, keeping me awake long after I've crawled into bed, staring at the ceiling, searching for answers I know I'll never get. One of the things my therapist has been helping me with is understanding that the answers I'm looking for won't bring me the closure I think they will. Even if he did care about me at some point, even if he was conflicted, it doesn't change the fact that he couldn't give me what I needed. And that's the reality I have to accept. No amount of replaying the relationship in my head is going to change the outcome. What matters now is how I move forward from here. I haven't spoken to him since the breakup, and I've made the conscious decision not to reach out. As tempting as it is to get some kind of final conversation, I know it wouldn't do me any good. I need to heal, and I can't do that if I'm still holding on to the hope that he'll say something to make it all make sense. I've also distanced myself from his friend group. It wasn't easy, but it felt necessary. I don't want to be in the middle of whatever happens between him and Vivian, and I don't want to be reminded of what I've lost every time I see them. There have been some small victories, though. I've started going out more, even if it's just small trips to the grocery store or walks around the neighborhood. I've been trying to reconnect with hobbies that I let fall by the wayside during the relationship. I used to love painting, but I hadn't picked up a brush in months. A few days ago, I bought some new supplies and spent an afternoon just losing myself in the colors, in the feeling of creating something beautiful. It felt good to do something for myself, something that had nothing to do with him. I've also been spending more time with my friends, the ones who have been by my side through all of this. They've been my lifeline, reminding me that I'm not alone, that I'm loved and valued even when I don't feel like it. We've had movie nights, long talks over coffee, and even a spontaneous road trip that helped me get out of my own head for a while. I'm learning to lean on them in ways I never allowed myself to before, but there are still moments, quiet moments, when the noise of the day fades and I'm left alone with my thoughts, when the pain comes rushing back. It's in those moments that I find myself doubting everything again. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? How could I have been so blind? And then I remind myself that healing isn't linear. There will be setbacks, and that's okay. What matters is that I'm moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. As for him, I don't know what his life looks like now. Maybe he's told Vivian how he feels. Maybe they're together, planning their next Halloween costume. I used to think that knowing would help me move on, but now I'm not so sure. His life, his choices, they're not my concern anymore. I have to focus on me, on rebuilding my life without him. I don't know what the future holds for me. Right now, I'm just trying to focus on the present, on getting through each day, on finding joy in the little things, on rediscovering who I am outside of this relationship. It's going to take time, and I know there will be more tough days ahead. But I'm learning that I'm stronger than I thought. And for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to believe that I deserve better. Maybe one day I'll look back on this and see it as a turning point. Maybe I'll see it as the moment I finally realized my worth. But for now, I'm just taking things day by day, trusting that eventually the pain will fade and I'll find myself again.